But the first speaker is Richard Snyder, and his title of his speech is Homer's First Toastmaster Meeting. Homer's First Toastmaster Meeting, Richard Snyder.
Howdy, fellow mooses. I was here tonight to talk about my first Toastmasters meeting. Brother Jethro done invited me to his Toastmasters Club 3 or 4 times, and I was finally of the mind to oblige him. Well, I no sooner arrived at that thar meeting place and those people lined up to greet me like I was a VIP or something. I sure glad Brother Jethro reminded me to dress up that day. I was wearing my best Sunday clothes. Heck, I wore socks and sandals for the occasion. Well, it weren't long after arriving that this man called the sergeant at arms. He didn't look like no sergeant to me. He weren't even wearing a uniform. Well, he came to the front of the room and said we was to be seated on account he was going to introduce the president. Well, I was all excited. I never saw a president live before, only on the television. Well, this here president came to the front of the room. He must have seen a bug, because he took out a mallet and he hit the table. Well, I'm guessing he got the bug because people started clapping. I was glad of that. I don't like those bugs, especially those skeeters. Well, after that, a man rose and told us all to bow our heads. I looked for some victuals to pray over. Twarn't none. So I prayed for some victuals and a quick meeting. Well, after that, the president done looked right at me. I was nervous. Hope I'm all dressed. He asked me to introduce myself. Well, heck, I already know who I was. But my neighbor said I was saying my name. Howdy, folks. My name's Homer. Like Homer Simpson, only it's not Simpson, but Gibbs. When I was a young boy, I used to belong to this organization called Boy Scouts. And our motto was be prepared. So I come to this here Toastmasters meeting prepared to give a toast. Well, they looked at me as if I must have been out of my mind. I think it's because I didn't drink enough whiskey to share with everyone. Well, I sits down and the president introduced the Toastmaster. That was a real head scratcher. I thought they saw Toastmasters. Well, this special Toastmaster came to the front of the room and said they had a special meeting tonight. The first speaker was going to give an icebreaker. Well, I was all excited. I thought I was finally going to get a chance to get a drink. But you know what? That guy didn't break no ice. All he talked about was himself. And the second speaker, lady, talked about her dream vacation. And then you know what those people did? They commenced a voting like a convention. And I thought, wow, it looks like a long night ahead. I'm glad I brought some liquid refreshment. Well, after that, it was something called table topic time. Well, I looked all around the table for something to talk about. There weren't nothing interesting. Well, a lady came up and she asked a couple questions and people got up, they came to the front, they talked for a minute or two. And then she asked me if I'd like to participate. Well, I don't want to be no party poop. Well, my question was, what's in a name? Well, I walked to the front of the room like I seen those other two done, thinking, howdy, folks. We all has names. My name's Homer. Only it wasn't Homer when I was born. My parents named me Howard. That was okay for a few years, but when I got to second grade, I was supposed to fight this kid. But I didn't want to on account he was older and bigger than me. And after that, kids commenced to call me Howard the Coward. Well, I didn't care none for that. Well, it weren't long after that, I was playing a game called baseball. I was supposed to hit this little ball off on a stick. They call it a tee. Well, I got my bat, And I swung just as hard as I could and watched the golf ball. It went under a player's legs. And I started running. I run to first and on to second. And they threw the ball over the second baseman's head. So I kept going to third. And the coach said, run home. So I run home. When I got home, Pap was mighty upset. He said he was going to give that coach a piece of his mind. Well, the coach started laughing and laughing. Said it was all a big misunderstanding. But after that, he commenced to call me Homer. And my classmates, teammates did the same. That's how I became Homer. A few years ago, Brother Jethro was telling me about an old-time writer named Homer. He wrote about the idiot in the odd sea, but that was all Greek to me. Well, I sat down and the people started clapping. I don't know, it was because I'd done talking or I'd done good. Well, they voted again. And after that, they said it was report card time. Well, I was mighty nervous about that. My report cards were never worth reporting about. But this man called the general evaluator, he must have been that same outfit as that sergeant, because he weren't wearing a uniform either. Well, he came to the front, introduced a couple of evaluators who talked about the speakers. And then he introduced the grammarian. The grammarian talked about what the people said good and not so good. And when he came to me, I was powerful nervous. I wanted to hide. You can probably tell my grammar ain't that good. My grandpa ain't much better, but that's another story. Well, when he came to me, he said, Homer, we're going to give you a break on account you're a guest and all. Whew. Mighty happy about that. Well, it was about time to end that there meeting. They brought the president back to the front, and he looked at me again and asked me for some guest comments. Well, I didn't have anything prepared, so I enjoyed the meeting. Everyone was friendly and made me feel welcome. But if I ever come back to this here club, I was going to have to bring some gloves. My hands are powerful sore from all that clapping. Well, I went home that day and I studied. I studied about that organization called Toastmasters, and I found out those people gather to practice public speaking. Don't they know it? That's one of man's greatest fears. I have a mind to invite them out next time I go snake hunting. Well, fellow mooses, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to Toastmasters, but if I do, I'm going to have to wear my special hat with alcohol on back so I can drink during the meeting and not disturb anyone. Well, as Porky Pig would say, a beat. That's all, folks. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, our second speaker. I have to put my glasses on to make sure I get the title right. Martha Eddinghausen. 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, pickle, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Martha Eddinghausen.
Apparently, I'm called a sandwich child. At first, I was like, excuse me? Do I look like a child or a sandwich? I mean, I do love a good sandwich, and I certainly wouldn't mind being sandwiched between a Reuben and a Cuban. Hey, on a Subway, of course. And I wouldn't mind taking a hot French dip with a beefy Italian. Is it getting a little toasty in here? Wait, I wanted to keep this clean, so no mile-high Dagwoods or sloppy joes. In reality, I have been married 43 years. Yes, 43 long years to the same man. You might call me a one-mandwich woman. We are like peanut butter and jelly. Naturally, I am the sweet one and he is the nutty one. Now, back to the Sandwich Child thing. It means that I am from the generation that is stuck in the middle between my grown children and aging parents. As for those grown children, there is no loafing around. You're going to need a bushel of bread because you just may find yourself rolling out a lot of extra dough. Just take it with a grain of salt. There's a seasoning. Oh, sorry. As for your aging parents, let's just say you better butter up those grown children well because your turn is coming next. Now, just take it with a grain of salt because there is a seasoning for everything. I get it. We may not relish our current choices, but we can choose to hummus a little tuna. Now, I was going to sing that, but my singing stinks like sardines. So let's just move along. Speaking of moving along, our house has a revolving door. When one kid moves out, with a little help, another moves in with extras and all their condiments. You could say our house is the Airbnb of the In-N-Out burger joint. Sometimes I feel like a pickle stuck in the middle, surrounded by a bunch of bologna. But honestly, sometimes I feel like Wonder Woman. My body is built strong 12 ways. And other days, I feel like the heel. I am at the bottom of everything. And as much as I have mustered, I just can't catch up. And that, my friends, makes me pretty grilled. I feel like a charred barbecue hardened on the outside. And yet, hopefully, I am still soft and warm somewhere on the inside. You could just say I'm one enormous rolled up hot mess, stuffed, overfilled, and bursting out the sides. But hey, I got to keep on cooking with Crisco because it's a grinder out there. And as for my husband, bless his heart, he's a po' boy. He really does try to keep us all together. He may not be cooking in all 4 burners, but after all these years, he's still my hero. Would I trade any of it? You bet. After all, we are a bit deconstructed. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't stack it up any other way. And that's a wrap.